Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Phenomenal Views. I am your host Nick Smith, and I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is I finished my Spider-Man video game walkthrough. You can go on my channel, you can watch that. The bad news is, talked to this with my therapist, and I talked to Philmaster Adam, and he agreed, but I just got to get this off my chest. Jason X is one of my favorite Friday the 13th film movies. I know. Everyone's like, but it's so bad, it's so corny, it's so stupid. Jason in space, why would you do that? Yes, this is... Now, I am a fan of the original Friday the 13th. Don't get me wrong, I love the original Friday the 13th. But with this, it's one of those movies that it's a guilt pleasure. Like, Philmaster Adam has a video thing of, like, the top 10 movies he hates himself for liking. I don't know if he hates himself for liking this film. I don't hate myself for liking this film, but I shouldn't like this film, but I do. It's corny, it's funny, that's got some good kills in it, but okay. So Jason X is the continuance of After Jason Goes to Hell. I have never watched Jason Goes to Hell, but I have watched this like 4 separate times, and it's so funny. They've caught Jason somehow. I don't know how. I really don't know how they caught the most notorious serial killer besides Michael Myers, but never mind. They have him locked up, and basically this Professor Zana or Yana or Exana, whatever her name is, she's getting ready to get him ready for cryogenic freeze. They're going to freeze him, but unfortunately, because apparently he can regenerate his wounds and he can heal himself, of course scientists want to study him. So they're like, we're going to study him. We're not going to freeze him, because they wanted more money. And so basically they go to take him away to transfer him somewhere, and then he goes on a killing spree. Very first thing he does is he starts chopping people up, he starts stabbing people. He even gives Scorpion a run for his money, wrapping a chain around someone's neck and going, and he doesn't say that, but I'll just go ahead and do it. He wraps around the chain around someone's neck and goes, and I was thinking, get over here, or Ghost Rider with the hell chain. And so, you know, of course, the smart one always outsmarts Jason. Well, you know, because Jason has a small brain. But so basically, she shoots him with a shotgun into the cryogenic freezer, and she closes him inside. But then Jason somehow stabs through this steel door, which makes no sense because his machete would probably dent up. But because of that, the room sealed itself and it froze her, and she wakes up in the year 2455. I was right. And she's found by this doctor and his group of students, along with an android, who are just scavenging around the future. And they find her, and they find Jason, and you have all the great characters. You have the smart guy, you have the smart chick, you have the whore, you have the dumb blonde, you have the dumb kid. And of course, no one knows what a hockey mask is, apparently. They find Jason, they're like, what's that thing on his face? Is it some kind of face preventer? And this guy's like, dude, that's a freaking hockey mask. What's hockey? And then the android's like, it was banned in the year 2024 or something. And so basically they're all poking around, and this kid gets his arm sliced off by Jason. Even when Jason's frozen, he's still killing people. He's still dangerous, even when frozen. Yeah. Must have been Sub-Zero's best student. I mean, there's a kill in here that gives me the chills. So, basically, they take Jason and this chick. They think they can't bring Jason back, but they can bring her back with these nanomites. So they bring her back, and this guy who was really actually just needing a lot of money, he calls his boss or something, and he's like, we found someone, and we brought him back to life. And he's like, there's people walking around in the future all the time. This is nothing new. But then he notices, wait, is that Jason Voorhees? And he's like, he basically says, long story short, you could get a lot of money for him. He disappeared and he killed like 300 people. So he they decide to put Jason on an operating table to study him and everything, and this hot scientist blonde, who's not stupid, she's actually very smart, she decides to do the analysis thing alone because her people that the doctor assigned to help her are too busy interested in banging each other. Apparently, a body right beside of each other really gets you in the mood for that. I don't see how, but, what can you do? So, while they're going at it, Xana is going around, walking around the ship, basically trying to get a feel of the future, and she's getting told about the future and everything, about how there's an Earth 2, how Earth died off, and so that's where they're headed. And so, a scientist girl is messing around with Jason, taking his mask off, and then she puts it back on. And when she's observing his body and everything, he starts to thaw, and of course he comes back to life. But it's only when the girl and her boyfriend are having sex and she does a moan, he wakes up. Obviously, for some reason, the sound of couples having sex makes Jason want to murder people. I was for sure that Mrs. Voorhees was like, kill the people. That makes a lot of sense, never mind. So Jason wakes up, and the girl turns around, Jason's not there. All of a sudden, he grabs her hair and puts her head face first into the stuff that turns you to ice. And I was like, dang, Sub-Zero, best prodigy ever. No wonder the movie gives me such chills. Oh, I love that joke. But yeah, when you study under Sub-Zero, you learn how to kill. And it's cold. So then, basically, Xana's basically talking to the doctors like, okay, wait, you brought Jason on board? You gotta get rid of him. And they're like, no, he's too valuable. We're gonna take him so he can be studied. We're gonna put him in a museum and everything. And this is just after they have a conversation about how she's like, no matter what happens, it's always about the money. And this is right after I was like, okay, hey, moron, did you two just not have a conversation about how it's always about the money? She's not dumb. She realizes right from the start what you're trying to do. I mean, it took Ripley a little while to understand what what's-his-name from Aliens was trying to do, but that wasn't until he actually tried to murder them that it was coming to full closure. So now, basically, they have to try to get to this place before Jason kills them all, and he takes one of them out one by one. After the couple is done having sex, the boyfriend opens the door, Jason stabs him, and blood goes all over the girlfriend's face, and then he drags the boyfriend down the hall. And I'm just going to say, science fiction, horror, the future is always weird, okay? Because there's this girl named Joanna who is one of those girls who basically gets it on with her teacher so she can get a good grade. But they set it up to make it look like, oh, they're getting ready to have a hot moment, when instead, she's just in hotter clothing, sitting on top of him, with, it looks like things like you pick up salad with, and she's basically just squeezing his nipple. That's all she's doing. And this guy's, like, enjoying this. I was like, dude, what is, how, what, why? And so, like, she's going like, Daddy likes you rough, a little harder, yeah. And then he screams you past. And then after Jason walks away, she just happens to walk out of the room, but it was ironically funny. So then after they realize, hey, we got a problem, we got a murdering, hockey mask wearing, space machete wielding killer on the loose. Actually, this was one of my favorite parts in the movie. He goes to this holodeck, and it shows like these two people are playing a holographic video game. Like this honestly makes me think what gaming is going to be like in the future. We're all going to be like wearing headsets, and we're going to be like walking. We're actually going to be the gamers. You know, like this made me think of this is going to be great as Modern Warfare one day. And so, Jason cuts the kid and then cuts the other guy's head off. And then the little kid tries to stop Jason, but Jason just takes a page out of Bane's notebook of how to beat people. He picks up the kid and just breaks his back and just throws him. after the kid escapes Jason's grasp and then jumps onto him, like, yeah, I got you. Wait, what's going on? Yeah. And then he just kills a lot of the people one by one. But one of the funniest part of this movie, I think, is when the professor is the only one who doesn't get out. Because they send all these special forces to go after Jason. Jason takes them out one by one. He takes them out a lot. One guy gets screwed. No, literally, Jason puts him on a corkscrew. But when Jason put him on the corkscrew, this is what my mom was thinking. You spin my world right round, when you go down at the bottom of the screw. One guy gets screwed. The one guy just gets his neck broke. One girl knows what the true meaning of being fully penetrated. I'm sorry for who those I just offended. And so the only one left is the main leader. I forget what his name is. It's like Podesky or I don't know. Or Rodin or something, whatever. It's the guy who played in 300. He gets kicked down a hole. So he's fighting Jason. Actually, no, never mind. He's behind the wall. All of a sudden, Jason comes up and stabs him. He's like, it'll take more than a bruised rib to put this old dog down. Stabs him again, and he's like, yep, that'll do it. That's like in Ultimate Spider-Man when Rhino throws him up against the wall. Don't worry, nothing's broken, except my spine, a few ribs, maybe anything else. So the blonde chick or the brunette chick whose boyfriend got slashed, she's all freaking out, and she's basically this close from snapping, and she eventually does. And there's the android in this film. When after the professor gets killed, and they all decide that they gotta try to get off the ship, which once again, how the professor dies, it's so funny, and this is just plain stupid. What's the one thing you don't do when you're faced with a serial killer? I asked my friend Michaela this, and she's like, just stand there. I was like, yes, but you know what else you don't do? Don't give the serial killer his weapon back, you moron! I know this is a bad film, but this was just so funny. I couldn't stop laughing. He's like, he was trying to talk to Jason, which you can't do. You can't reason with Jason. I've had this conversation with my friend Adam. Dude, I would be one of those kind of villains who would, persuade these killers. No, you wouldn't. Michael Myers is the epitome of evil. He wouldn't listen. All he cares about, stab, stab, kill, I kill. I don't want money. Jason, stab, stab, kill for mommy. That's it. And so he's trying to reason with Jason, do you know how much you're worth? I can help you make a fortune. So then he just grabs his machete, and Jason just has this pissed off look like, you have my machete. He's like, you just wanted your machete back. Oh, it's yours. Oh, hey guys, he just wanted his machete back. Yes, because giving a serial killer his weapon is the best thing to do. And he gets killed. So then basically they decide, the nerd and the android, they make out, and other stuff, but you don't see it. But next thing you know, she comes in walking, and she's loaded with weapons, but she's wearing this dominatrix outfit, and I was like, okay, question, one, that is awesome, and two, why does she have to dress up like a dominatrix just to shoot and kill Jason? But I digress. So she's taking these machine guns and shooting him, and the leader of the Halo team basically is still alive, and he helps her. But then she shoots him into the room where the nanites are, and she blows his head off. Of course, well, she had a shotgun. Why didn't she just do that before? Hey, Jason. But it was actually pretty funny how they set it up. He's like, hey, Slappy, I got something new for you. And I was like, this is pretty awesome. This is pretty exciting. It was awesome and exciting. So she's doing all these flips and kicking him and everything, and then she blows his head off, and then they have to find a way to get out, but they can't because the brunette chick finally snapped, and she tried to escape, and she accidentally got herself killed. So now they have to blow up this part of the ship, and when they're doing that, the nanites come back on and rebuild Jason. Now, this is a lot of reasons why the fans, the true hardcore fans of Friday the 13th, hated this, because they made Jason into Super Jason. And when I watched the Blockbuster Busters review of this, when he was coming through, like, the fireworks and, like, the damaged pyro and everything, he played Goldberg's music, and I was like, I applaud you, that's very funny. And so now Jason's all covered with metal, and, somehow, after they blow up the bridge, he's able to survive the vacuum of space. Of course, so he's already dead. And Joanna gets sucked through the vent, and she's like, this sucks on so many levels, and it was a pretty good pun. So they try to get out the door, and the people who are coming to save them, you know, are there. And, but they can't get out there because the door's damaged or something. So Mr. Tough Dude has to go actually out in space and fix it manually. And so in order to distract Jason so he can't get to them in time, they replay a Camp Crystal Lake scene. And it's like these two girls who were like, you want a beer or smoke some pot? Or let's have some premarital sex. In which it was pretty funny because they were campers and it was like in the year 2045, 2055. And so he kills the counselor, or he kills the campers, I think, away how he did in Friday the 13th, Part 7. He puts both of them in their sleeping bags and he slams them against each other, and then he slams one against a tree. And so by the time that they get into the pod, Jason's about to get them, but then the guy comes back and he fights Jason, which they cut from the fight. It was like when I was watching the new Godzilla film. When they're getting ready to show Godzilla take on these monsters that cut away, I was like, what? No, go back to that fight. I want to see this guy fight Jason. And so the ship explodes and they're fine. And then Jason comes after them again. It's like, dang, this guy's persistent. But then, what's-his-name finds Jason, and actually they fall to Earth too. But like in the Spider-Man cartoon, when Carnage knocked Spider-Man off the roof, and Peter changed it to where Carnage would take the blow, that's what he did. He changed it to where Jason would get the full impact of it. And so, the movie ends with this couple on the lake seeing a shooting star, which you know it's not a shooting star. It's his mask, and it falls into the river. And the guy's like, it went to the lake. Of course it did. So then this couple's like, let's go check it out. Here's a news story. 2 innocent teens were found slaughtered near the lake. Only evidence we found was this metal futuristic mask. Yeah. So that's Jason X. It's corny, it's silly, it's honestly stupid. But it's one of those films that it's so bad you kind of like. That you kind of have to like. Well, I mean, you don't have to like, because there was even a comic strip about regular Jason versus new Jason. I don't mind the way new Jason looks. I can understand why some fans would be pissed. But honestly, if you're just looking for a good, funny slasher film, this is honestly it. You know, it's not one that you must own, but you know, I bought it just because I wanted to own it. But guys, put in the comments below, what did you really think about this film? Because I know a lot of fans hated it. I laugh every time I watch this film. But seriously, put in the comments below, hit that thumbs up button if you're hanging upside down because you're wall crawlers this way. If you're not, don't do it this way. But guys, seriously, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you thought. Mention me to your friends. You can find me on Facebook, Google. I can't log back into my Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You guys can find my page anyway. But guys, this has been another episode of Phenomenal Views. Stay tuned for I will be reviewing the next film. A dream match from hell. Freddy versus Jason. Guys, have a good day, because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm Nick Smith, and I hope you guys have a good day. Have a good night.